It's your boy Drumatic. This is Drumatic Reviews. Today I got a brand new series I'm starting. This is the Volume 1 of Most Underrated MCs. Now, this one's going to be fun for me to talk about because I listen to a lot of rappers that aren't necessarily big dogs. Sometimes I wonder why. Like, how is this dude not bigger? Like, how is he not one of the biggest rappers in the world? It seems like he's better than anybody I've ever heard before. So you might have heard of some of these rappers on this list, and some of them you might not have. It kind of just depends on like where your head is hip-hop wise and like what you listen to and what your lane is. It's gonna be dope, so let's get started.
I've been in it for a minute now, but I feel it just dug a bigger hole. Took a little bit to figure out, had a lot to learn from what I didn't know. All the problems had to kick them out, same old drama from a different hoe. Know exactly what I'm doing now, who's a friend of me, who's a foe.
Now, first on my list is probably one of my favorite rappers of all time. Like, a lot of people, they ask me, hey, who's your favorite rapper? Because I love to talk hip-hop so much and I love rap. People say, hey, if you could pick one rapper out of all rappers in the whole world, who would it be? And I usually say the same person. I have a top 5. I think we all have our own top 5, but like, it's hard to pick a top 5. Like, I sit there and go through it and I'll switch guys and all that just because, I don't know, I'm just a music nerd. But I think, you know, this guy's probably been one of my favorite rappers for the last 5 years or so, and I had the pleasure of opening up for this dude. Actually, got to take pictures with him and wrap it up with him after the show, and kicked it with him the whole time. It was super dope, man. So, but that rapper is Locksmith. First time I ever saw him, I was watching MTV Battle in Times Square, and Rain Man and some other people, I think even Vol.1 was there. We're all in this big old Times Square NYC battle for money for MTV. And Locksmith ended up making it to the finals, I think against Rain Man, and lost because he cursed. I think he said pissed or something. It wasn't even anything bad, but you're not allowed to say any bad words since it was on MTV. So Locksmith got disqualified, and I remember that. That's the first time I ever seen dude, but I was like, wow, he's really dope. And then as he started to come up, I kind of lost touch with him. Later on, I saw him battling again. I saw him beat Disaster. I saw him beat Daylight. Yeah, I mean, like, he's a monster. I mean, he went on Team Backpack. He won Cypher of the Year, #1. He goes on Funkmaster Flex, and Fat Joe just about had a heart attack. So, like, he's a different breed. I mean, Sway gives it up to him all the time. He's not your average MC. He's definitely top-notch, top-tier. I'd put him against anybody's top 3 anytime. He's that good of a rapper. So Locksmith is definitely underrated to me. A lot more people need to know about Locksmith. I don't even understand why they don't. Number 2 on my list, I actually found this guy last year. His name is Kaan, K-A-A-N. He's extremely good rapper. Like, I used to think that like cannabis was way ahead of his time way back in the day. Like, there was nobody better at rapping than cannabis. It was almost like if Einstein had a microphone and a bunch of rhythm and was like, hey, I'm gonna rap. So you couldn't even really comprehend what he was saying. It's intergalactic mechanical stars, you know, crazy stuff he talked about. And so it was fun to listen to, but really it was just way ahead of everybody. You couldn't really comprehend a lot of the stuff he was saying. He was talking about like astrophysics and stuff, and people were like, I don't even know, this dude is weird. He still never blew up. So, but what I'm getting at is, Kaan reminds me of like a modern day Cannabis. He just seems so much better than everybody else. And I know I just said that Locksmith's probably like the greatest rapper I've ever heard, but when you're talking about like technical rapping, Kaan seems to be on his own planet. Like, I don't know of many rappers, including Tech 9, and I'm not kidding, that can really hang with Kaan. Kaan's just a different breed altogether. You can, you know, there's lots of choppers out there that do it really good. That are really good. But I don't know. I don't even know what to say except for, you know, Kaan is really just a machine. Because not only does he chop and rap fast, he can slow it down, he can have lyrics. He does get a little strange at times, but he's always rapping well, even if the beat's weird. if you go and listen to the feels, that song really does give you the feels. It's amazing. That's the song that made me a huge Kaan fan. So go check out the feels by Kaan. He also has Mary Jane. There's a new song called Nobody Loves Me. It's really good. I thought about doing a review on. I mean, dude, there's a lot to. He's got the Phoenix. There's a long list. He does a Snoop Dogg cover, which is going to come later in one of my series. I mean, he really is just in a league of his own. So, shout out to Kaan. If you don't know much about Kaan, he is definitely number 2 on my list as far as most underrated MCs. Number 3 on my list, Rittz. I think a lot of people already know who Rittz is. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But he was on Strange Music with Tech Nine. That's the biggest independent label in the world, or at least was at one point. Not sure why Rittz never really made it as big as I thought he should. Because when I talk about these other artists and how good at rapping they are, yes, Rittz is definitely one of the best choppers, one of my favorite rappers. But out of everybody that I just named even, he's the most consistent. I mean, he'll make song after song after song, banger to a smooth joint, to some pimp shit. It doesn't matter, like, it's always super dope. The beats are always incredible, remind me of old, like, Tony Draper, 8-Ball and MJG type beats, and just, I don't know, he never ceases to amaze me. He recently left Strange Music. He's on his own now. I know he's got the Slum American thing with Yellow Wolf, but hey, let's see what happens with that. But Rittz constantly drops good music all the time. So if you ever want a good playlist to listen to and just push play and walk away and clean the house, whatever you're gonna do, Rittz is your man. He don't make bad music. I can honestly say I've never heard a bad song from Rittz. Number 4 on my list. Some might say this guy's not underrated, but he's definitely underrated. That's Royce the 5'9". Royce the 5'9" has been around for a long time. We all know that. We all know he's been hanging out with Eminem since way back. People don't know, some people do, some people don't know that he was Eminem's hype man way back in the day. As Royce the 5'9" started to hang out with Eminem, he just started to learn how to rap better and better. I've seen him say that. I've seen him come out in interviews and say, hey, like, I learned a lot of the wordplay and like techniques of rapping from Eminem. Like, so when they were doing the whole Bad Meets Evil thing, they were just wordplay masters. It was the best duo rap group I've ever heard. I mean, shout out to Outkast, obviously, and 8-Ball and MJG and UGK. So, you know, I kind of feel bad saying that, but you know what I'm saying is, like, as far as wordsmiths go, they really were incredible. Everything, their music was, you know, a little weird at times too, just kind of dark, but you know, always entertaining and fun, and that's what, like, I always liked about Eminem in general. So Royce was always the only rapper I've ever heard that could always hang every song with Eminem. Eminem would be rapping, Royce would come in, people would be like, who's that? He's rapping as good as Em. I know. So to be that good of a rapper and constantly put out catalogs of music like Royce does, it's just good music and just showcasing his skills all the time on radio stations. I mean, he's kind of a well-known MC in the underground and a little above, I guess you could say, because he does have a big deal. But like, man, I don't know, I still feel like he's underrated. Royce is definitely one of the best rappers I've ever heard. He's in my top 5 for sure, and a lot of my friends' top 5. So I don't know, hey man, maybe just because he's too hip-hop, but shout out to Royce the 5'9", he's definitely underrated. Number 5 on my list, last but not least, who I like to refer to as the freestyle god. I mean, if you've ever seen somebody just freestyle for an hour, it's pretty impressive to watch somebody be able to freestyle in such a manner that you can throw any kind of word to them that they can just keep going. Yeah, freestyling sounds corny, but like, hey, that's what it is. Like, it's not planned. This is off the head. You can't be too hard on them. So I've heard this guy freestyle in such a manner that you would have thought it was written. And this is King Los. King Los, to me, is the master of freestyle. But not only that, he makes good music. He's not just a good freestyler, he makes great songs. King Los flies under the radar, I think, more on the West Coast. I think he's got a bigger fan base on the East Coast. I think he might have migrated this way, so maybe it might be different now, but I will tell you that, like, that's one of those guys that top tier, high caliber wordsmiths that just are one of a kind. I mean, you know, he belongs in that conversation. You know, and the reason I say he's underrated is because how many people do you know that really could know about King Los? I mean, really, like, unless you're really, really hip hop. I mean, everybody I've named on this list, if you're a hip hop head, yeah, you probably heard of all these people. But you gotta admit, they're pretty underrated for the skill level that they possess. King Los, he's no different. Anyway, that was my top 5 most underrated MCs. That was volume 1. I hope you liked it. I'm gonna start doing this every week. If you got any ideas, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you got any names, go ahead and drop them. You know who it is. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.